Welcome, welcome, welcome to another week of Living a Rich Life, the home edition. I am your host, Rich James, and I believe living a rich life is made up of 6 elements. Here at Living a Rich Life, we intend to inform, inspire, and remind each other of the importance of living a rich life through those 6 principles: good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals and achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy. What we like to do is have guests come in and share their lives. We'll dive into their lives, their talents, and they'll share that with us. Today, I have 2 phenomenal guests. My very first guest, she is a content creator for One of One Productions, co-founder of at Next Step _NY. She is the host of Unexpected Success. And on top of all that, she's an attorney, the one and only Joy Pratcher. How you doing, Joy?
Hey, Rich, I'm great. So happy to be on.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. First and foremost, because I'm known for tearing up some names. So did I pronounce your first name? I mean your last name right?
You did a phenomenal job. Yes, Pratcher.
Pratcher. Okay. Excellent. So, again, what we like to do in living a rich life, we like to have good, open, honest communication. We like things to be organic, and
right.
we want you to share your talents, because we're going to dive into all about joy, and hopefully it inspires someone else so they can live a rich life based on some of those principles. And that's why we asked you to come on.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. This is awesome. Thanks so much for doing this, Rich.
All right, good deal. So first and foremost, tell us where you're from and the names and offerings of your companies, because you have like so many things going on. Tell us about that.
Right. Yeah. So I'm from Queens, New York. I am from an area called Far Rockaway, Queens. So, which is a small peninsula off the coast of Long Island, actually. And so I'm from Queens. I grew up kind of in a beach town. Parents who were very hardworking. We grew up in a pretty middle class environment. And I, did all the right things in terms of wanting to go to school, and went to law school. And, my parents are big advocates of higher education, and did that for a little while until I got an entrepreneurial bug.
Okay. Got an itch. I know about that.
Yeah, I got an itch. And to be honest with you, I worked when I was practicing law. I worked for a lot of serial entrepreneurs as well. And I believe that may have been where my bug may have started, because I was always involved I always had bosses that were entrepreneurs. So I, going through, I mean, it's long stories, right? And I guess we'll get into it without giving that kind of a narrative. But I ended up, wanting to try my hat at entrepreneurship based on what I had been exposed to.
Okay. So tell us about some of the companies that you're currently,
Right. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So my first company, I started with 2 partners. It's Next Step Staffing, and we basically provide technical resources to our corporate clients. Started out with us just mainly doing web development and software engineers, but that eventually progressed into us staffing more audiovisual professionals for our clients that give live shows. So that's kind of been my main area of just providing audiovisual professionals for live shows, and that's where I ended up meeting a lot of amazing, talented audiovisual people. And I eventually started One of One Productions with them.
Okay.
And we just thought, I started a podcast, and we thought it was so hard to find places to record. Mm-hmm. And so we just said, why don't we just open our own? And so that's what we did.
Okay.
We no longer had an issue with where we produce. So where we produced our podcast, we had a place, and then we opened it up for the public, and it offered a place for people to do their podcasts with us as well.
Okay, so it sounds like your story is somewhat similar to mine in terms of, again, podcasts. We think strictly audio. Some folks do, but in my case,
right,
we do video and audio, and
right.
Be Exposed Radio. Of course, with the COVID-19, we kind of had to shut the station down. Right. So,
yes, which is challenging, right? Which has been challenging, but there's some highlights there, right? So, how have you? I'm always used to
interviewing. Yes, you're not the first. You're not the first.
I guess how have you? How have you been able to just kind of find some lemonade in all of this?
Well, I got to tell you, I got an amazing staff, amazing team, really. My producer, Mani, assistant producer, Nate, the folks that do my research, my marketing people. So I just got a really good team. I'm only as good as my team.
Right. No, and I have really enjoyed, even just the prep and the way you guys have brought me up to speed on everything. You really do have an amazing team.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And I'm sure they appreciate it too.
Right.
Yes. So I want to talk about one-on-one productions, right? So again, yes. I don't know if you know, I'm a native New Yorker, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that, Rich. Where are you from?
Yes, I'm a native New Yorker from the Bronx, Marble Hill Projects. We moved on up like the Jeffersons to Long Island.
Yeah. So you moved to Long Island first?
Yes, and then came down here. So started in the Nassau County area, West Hempstead, Lakeview area. So I'm not sure. So yeah, it was a good experience. It was a good experience.
Yeah, my mom went to Westbury High School, so my mom was raised in Westbury. So yeah, I'm very familiar with Long Island, Nassau County.
And you're not to kind of move things away from you, but your dad played for the Knicks, right?
Yeah. Before I was born, my dad was, he was a country boy. Moved to New York when he was 12. Got really good in ball, right? And put up.
That's my team.
The street ball sensation here in Queens, and he ended up getting, drafted 11th pick in the '69 draft, and ended up playing for the Knicks. And it just so happened they won a championship that year. So
I wasn't born, but still, I've been a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan for a long.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Dolan makes it hard to be a Knicks fan right now, but that's a different conversation.
Exactly. So tell us, how long has one of one productions been on up and running?
So yeah, we started the company in April of 2018. In terms of having a brick and mortar, and I started my podcast in 2017. It's crazy to believe that it's been that long. But yeah, so we opened up shop, and we focus primarily on podcasts, but that's kind of developed into more of just content creation. Okay. We have started producing some documentaries for some of our clients. We do, introductory business, like, for small businesses that want to highlight themselves more on social media. We produce, kind of these shorts for them to advertise their business. So we're kind of like a full-blown production shop at this point. While podcasting is our main offering, we are very much involved with content creation and trying to help entrepreneurs like the small companies get the word out about their companies, about the businesses.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and it seems to be that social media, is definitely the way to go given the current environment. There's a lot kind of happening.
Yeah, for sure.
The amount of opportunities there is tremendous. It's tremendous.
Yes, for sure.
So now, what type you're a sports and entertainment lawyer?
Yeah, I was mainly I started out just as a music attorney. Okay. And I worked with a lot of the Southern rappers. I worked with like A-Ball and MJG. I worked with Too Short. I worked with Gucci Mane. I worked with a lot of the Southern rappers. And worked with them, Slim Thug, Cool and Dre. A lot of those guys for a while, and then I stopped practicing for a couple of years. I went corporate for a couple of years. When I left corporate, I went on and became an NBA sports agent.
Okay.
with a company called Six Sports with Jay Irving, Dr. J's son.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like a nice kind of collective of these NBA kids coming together to start a sports agency.
Okay.
So
nice.
it was a good time for the time that it lasted. And then I went off and pursued some other dreams in terms of family. Got married, had kids, and then I started the sports agency after that. So I've had many lives, Rich. I'm not that old, but
hey, it's okay. So I got to ask the question. Can you play ball? Because I was pretty good myself.
I'm nice. In my mind, Rich. In my mind. I'm really I don't know. I can shoot. That's about it.
Okay.
Do you play?
Well, I no longer play because I had 2 knee surgeries. So
oh wow.
I kind of just lay back. But
right.
In my days I was pretty good on football and basketball. And we won the counties of Long Island, went up to the states of New York. So we played against some of the best.
Awesome. I love that.
And then boys, like what Boys and Girls High. Who was the other powerhouse? Boys and Girls High.
Well, we have a lot of them here. We have Boys and Girls, Springfield. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in terms of basketball schools, we have Christ the King. We have, what other basketball schools? I'm blanking, but yeah,
during my time, we beat those. We only lost one time, and that was
wow.
Yeah. So we was pretty good.
Okay, let them know.
We was pretty good.
What position did you play?
I played the guard.
Okay.
Point guard, shooting guard. I couldn't shoot that well though. But
okay.
that's a whole nother story.
Good. Right.
One of the things that my team dug up was that you call yourself a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
So tell us about that. Is that tell us about that.
For whether it's a good or a bad thing, I'm just not scared to start businesses. Right. And so, serial on that, if someone comes to me with an idea and I vet the idea, I open up a company. I'm not afraid to start new businesses if it makes good business sense, and so I find myself constantly being inspired and swayed in different directions that may not have anything to do with one another, right? So I may have, the term the serial entrepreneur means that I'm just much to my husband's dismay. I'm just always willing to start something new,
okay.
So I'm not.
So
really
that sounds
scared.
like that's a plus, right? I think that is. I mean, at the end of the day, you think multiple streams of income. When I first started this, it was like, okay, I had a vision, and things kind of fell into place. So now I make a couple of dollars, but I think doing something you enjoy is more important than just from the financials piece. But again, one of my principles is financial freedom, right?
Right. I mean, it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to marry passion and money, right? And sometimes it's hard to marry the two. So, you have a company that manages your passion, a company that manages your money.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Do you currently have any mentors?
I have a few mentors. I do have a few mentors. One of my mentors passed away a couple of years ago, which was kind of traumatizing. But I find myself wanting to kind of live in his legacy. And it was Reggie Osei. Reggie Osei was Combat Jack for the folks that are really into podcasts. But he was considered like the godfather of podcasts. He was doing podcasting when I didn't understand what podcasting was. And but he was like, he constantly kind of, guided me without necessarily guiding me for a very long time. And so I find myself wanting to do content creation based on his legacy and wanting to do podcasting based on his legacy. So, I mean, I have mentors here and there, but I would say that he may have been one of the most influential.
Okay. Now, see, for me, I'm only a year and a half into this thing, and I'm still, awesome. As they say,
keep going.
That's the plan. That's the plan. So
Right.
I'm learning, right? One thing I watch and I listen, and just from even a host in media hosting media events, those just kind of watching people. Again, I think I have my own style, but at
Yeah,
the same, you gotta learn your craft, right? If that's what you're gonna do. So I'm
for
still learning
sure.
some things, and I didn't know you had a podcast until my team came back and said, "Hey, did you know she has a
Yeah.
podcast?"
I know.
Yeah, so I'm
You
gonna
know,
be
but it's
tuning
a
into
lot of
that.
work. It's a lot of work, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's one of those things where you don't realize how much work it goes into producing a podcast. And so, keep
yeah.
going, Rich. You're doing a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. I
I'm
appreciate that.
trying. Like, I think that you've been doing it for a year and a half. I've been doing it for a little bit longer, but I think that you kind of have your ducks in a better row than mine. But we do what we do. We do the best job we can, right?
And you're doing a lovely job. By the way, you
Thank
look you
you,
look
Rich.
very
Thank you.
nice. You look very nice there.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you. Trying to keep it together.
well, which leads me to my next question: how have you been keeping it together in during this time with the COVID-19 and
Oh,
quarantine? Uh, Being up
I mean,
north is a little it's
yeah, I mean,
rougher.
we're still locked down. We're still locked down up here, in terms of, like, so hair salons are still closed, right? I mean, we're trying to keep it together, but the good news is that I just finished homeschooling yesterday. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and homeschooling has been intense.
Hmm.
So happily I made it through that. But I mean, it's been an adjustment, to be candid. It's been a huge adjustment trying to manage work, manage kids, manage cooking, cleaning, doing things that I never, to be frank, I just never did, right? So,
Oh, don't worry, there's not millions
yeah,
watching, just a
right,
couple of
right.
thousand. Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
so it's been a challenge, but I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about it's like kind of met my kids, too. So, you don't realize how busy you are. You get a chance to actually spend some time with your children.
Hmm.
So it's been different, but
Right.
I try to keep a positive mind in terms of, you know,
What's going on?
I'm built for this, right? That's what they
Right,
say. I'm
right.
built for this. I'm built for this. So I'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, you from up north. That's what we do. That's one of the things that we do.
Right,
Yeah, that's one of
right,
the
right,
things that
right,
we do. I mean, I got to say, during this time, it's allowed me myself to plan a little better with some things, but
right.
it did, kind of slow down. And one of the things that I will say is, it only took a pandemic, you know, for folks to stop, shut down stores, no going out, no concerts, no movie theater, and then turn
Right.
around and the George Floyd incident in this most recent one, Shard
Uh,
Brooks. We're not going to get into
right.
that. For the world to see, and as a black woman and me being a black man, so it's a time, and I think nothing just happens for a reason. So I just I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer of that. You know.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, I'm faithful. I'm faithful. So I believe that all things do, work together for our good in a long run. Although this has been a tough one, right? It's kind of like it's hard to not be angry. Um, but I mean, I think that gratefulness always kind of replaces anger if you let it. So
Yep.
I've been just trying to balance. You're angry and you're like just trying
Right.
to figure
Right.
out which one you're going to choose on a daily basis, right? Anger or faith, gratefulness or anger. So I
Anger.
think there's a lot. Well,
I made up.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where or a combination of both that you get the result you want, right? But it's
Exactly.
a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I don't think it's one straight line. It's been a lot.
So, okay. Well, some way, somehow, you remain to be inspired. Tell me
Yeah.
what inspires Joy Pratcher. Tell me. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I love stories of triumph. Like nothing makes me happier than to hear, when I was younger, I used to just watch documentaries about people who made it. Right. All I wanted to hear was stories about people who made it for different reasons. And we all have our bag of obstacles and things that we overcome, but I never get tired of the comeback kid story. I never get tired of the one you never saw coming. I never get tired of those stories. And as I got older, I would never miss 30 for 30. I love 30 for 30. Like, I love all those stories about how these kids were, had unfortunate circumstances, but they turned it around and became great. So I never get tired of that. And so I'm inspired by to tell stories about triumph. And in the long run, I'd like to be able to highlight stories of just people who just didn't give up and just made it. I never, until the day I die, Rich, until the day I die, I want to tell stories of triumph.
I know that's right. I know that's right. I'm a good storyteller.
Are you?
I like to believe I am. I'm a good storyteller,
Yeah.
So being able to tell that story to friends, to colleagues, to children, to family, that's always a good thing, right? As you move forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, so what does your legacy look like? What do you envision? What do you want to leave for your children? What's that legacy look like for Joy?
I think one of the biggest things is that I gave myself, right? I gave myself I use my talent, right? Mm-hmm. I think, utilizing your talents, not leaving anything on the table, not, wasting any of your gifts, right? I think that's one of the biggest things. And just being able, again, I love people, right? I love to engage with people, and I think that I have a pretty good rapport. So I want to utilize that gift to extent, like, just tell people stories, essentially. I mean, my legacy is just wanting to give myself and give the world amazing stories of triumph. I guess that's what I would love to do in the long run. But I mean, I have two daughters. But just being, a person of your word, being strong, never backing down. Don't let fear, don't let fear guide you. Let, your faith guide you. I mean, all those kind of coined phrases. But I mean, if there's anything that I can impart, it's just, fight for yourself. Fight for yourself. Go really hard.
I think one of the things. So, how can folks get in contact with you? Tell us some of your tags so we can get that out the way right quick, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. So my website is joypratcher.com. As just spelled straight out, joypratcher.com. My Instagram for my podcast is unexpected_success. I think underscore after that. My production company is One of One Productions. I think was it One of One Pro? I'm sorry, Richard.
One of One Productions. You guys, look, you're a serial entrepreneur, so I mean, come on now. It's okay.
Which one? Right. No. So the website for the production company is oneofoneproductions.com. The IG for One of One, I believe, is One of One Pro. Next Step Staffing is our website is NSStaff, so that's NSSTAFF.com. And my personal IG is joy__P_.
So, as we're honest and open here, your last one is joy_P_.
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't know what you just said.
I don't know. know.
It's okay. So
thank
tell
you.
us, what hidden talents do you have? Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talent. Well, I don't know if I have hidden talents. I'm a tennis enthusiast, which I'm not sure if that's actually hidden, but I think that I talk about them a lot. Talent? No, I don't really have a lot of talent, Rich. Got to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it moving then. We'll keep it moving. Right. Any advice, right? So again, it sounds like you've gotten motivated by entrepreneurs during your stint as a corporate attorney. Any advice you would give any up and coming entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say jump. I think obviously finances are always an issue in terms of starting businesses, but I think that in life, I think if you look for reasons to not do something, you won't do them. Right. Mm-hmm. I think you have to look for ways to just reasons to do it. Right. And financing while it's very important, the same way you save for a bag or whatever you save for, you can save to start your business and just start. Right. And it could just be something small initially. Mm-hmm. And as it takes fire, just put more energy and, take some time just to foster the growth of the company, right? So if you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do that work before you go to work at your 9 to 5, or because we're all at home, right?
Right.
It's
Ain't got
the
no more
perfect time just to start trying to see whether or not your business works. But I think I was inspired to start my podcast not only because of my mentor that passed away, but also because I just saw so many people my age who hated their job, uh, brilliant people that hated their job, and life is just kind of passing them by, right? You just see people just doing the same thing, getting involved in the same routines, and these are brilliant people with amazing ideas that just sit on the idea. And
Right.
it drives me crazy because I'm kind of like, how about I take your idea?
I'll take it and I'll get paid.
And I'll get paid, right? So I think the frustration is just seeing how many people don't are live fear based, right? So my advice would be just, when you have an idea, a lot of times the idea that you get is a divine idea. Like, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't really believe in hunch. I believe that if an idea comes to you, the likelihood of it being divine is very high. And so why wouldn't you take the time to bet on yourself? I just believe in just jumping, just going for it. And the worst thing that can happen is you fail. I mean, I failed a bunch of times.
Right.
And I'm still here, right? I'm still here. So
still standing. Yeah, I think that, when you say, things happen, again, I'm big on things happening organically, whatever that looks like, whatever that means to folks. We've probably crossed paths before, but it wasn't until, just recently, the whole you and Sanjay, who have she's been on my show before. And
she told me, yeah.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I got the once she told me, and I think she was like maybe my fourth or fifth guest, because again, that fear factor, that's where I'm getting to. There was folks telling me, Rich, you should be doing something in television, entertainment. You should be doing something for the longest. My good friend Derek Chase. But when she told me, she was like, I'm impressed, because she was doing radio for so long.
No.
She said, I'm impressed. And after that, I'm not gonna lie, my head got a little bigger.
Good.
It's already big, but it got a little bigger.
Hey, we're in the big head club, Rich. It's all gonna have a big head too.
Right. Well, I'm glad. I didn't want to say it, Joy. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm just messing. What was some of your biggest challenges? As an attorney, just overall, as an attorney, as in starting the podcast.
Well, first I just want to say that I think that you're amazing. I think that you're great, and you're great at this, and I'm happy that Sanjay inspires you to do it. She's a pretty honest person, so she didn't believe it, then she wouldn't say it.
This is true.
Right, and I have to tell you that I'm very impressed with how organized and how great this is going, and so I want to also piggyback on what Sanjay said to tell you that I think that this is exactly what you should be doing.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So some of my biggest challenges. I mean, I had different challenges throughout the course of my life. It kind of just depends on which which decade, right?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, with career and specifically being in entertainment, you have the issue of not being taken seriously, right? I think being a woman, you just not really taken seriously. So that was a huge challenge for a portion of my life. And then just fear in general, right? Just not really believing in yourself at times, and kind of doubting yourself, and doubting whether or not you'll be well received. And then realizing that it doesn't matter how you're received. That's the point. But that happens like later, right?
Right. Well, so let's take a step back with the entertainment, right? Because you still have do I want to say a toe in the water, because you still get involved. You still Right. So you still have those relationships here or there, whether it's old or even new ones. Do you feel that you still have? Is it still a challenge? Because again, just some of the things you hear in the news. Do you still have that problem now to this day, even after?
Yeah,
kind of
not so much.
yourself?
Not as much now, but even after I became an attorney, I think even up to the point where I was doing sports agency, it was still an issue where people assume that you want to be a sports agent because you're trying to get married or you're trying to get with one of the players or you're trying,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Some foolishness.
Yeah, you can't just want to be my agent, right? So I think that I mean it just kind of is what it is. It's entertainment in general is pretty male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with hip hop artists, right?
Right.
And not to generalize, but I mean the lyrics kind of like
Speak for itself.
right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
but at the same time, I wouldn't change that about the business. I've had a lot of success with the business, and I still love music. But yeah, I mean, people are people, right? And so no, that hasn't
Right.
changed, right?
Yeah. Right. People are people are people.
People are people.
Music. What type of music do you like?
I would say, I mean, I love John Coltrane. Like I said, I like jazz. I like
Okay.
Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
And then I
Versatile.
like all the Luther Vandross,
Oh,
Teddy
Luther. Yes.
Pendergrass. My parents woke me up every morning to some type of wonderful,
Nice
what I
sounds.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
old school music. So yeah, no, I'm definitely an old head when it comes to that. Some of the current music I like this girl Snow Allegra. I like her.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't really know a lot of current
Well,
music.
guess what? You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I get
Good. I'm
look.
so happy, Rich. Thank
I
you for
get my
bailing
son.
me out.
I said, hey, send me a playlist. And he sends me a
Right.
playlist. Then I'll be like, then I gotta send him another message. Send me a playlist where I can understand what the hell they saying.
Right.
And then he sends me
Right.
a right. Then he sends me a playlist of some stuff that he was listening to when he was in the house, because now he
Right.
grown, he out the house. I was like, okay, now you got it, because some of that
Right.
stuff is just like, okay,
Yeah, no,
I can do without it.
it's rough. I know. I'm like, how do you even? Because back, in our day, right? We used to be able to actually, like, I still know Biggie lyrics. I still know
Right.
lyrics, and
Yeah.
how do you even know these lyrics? I don't even understand what these people are even saying. It's crazy.
They use the force, Joy. They use the
I know.
force. Jedi
We,
mind tricks.
Rich, we sound old,
Yeah.
dude. Like, what happened to us, right?
Well, I just don't got the energy.
I wouldn't trade it though. I wouldn't trade it. I'm all
Yeah,
set.
neither would I.
Nah.
Neither would I. So when does your podcast air? Let's get that information out. When is that?
To be honest with you, I'm sporadic now.
Okay.
I used to be on a schedule, a weekly schedule, and with all the things going on, I didn't want
Took a
to
pause.
lack authenticity, right?
Right.
So, occasionally we do live podcasts now because we're in the house,
Right.
and so whenever I get a really interesting guest, I'll invite them on, and but I'm not really on a set schedule. I hope to return to regular scheduled
Right.
podcasts, but until then, I
Gotcha.
think one of the biggest things about podcasts is not letting it be too stressful. I think it has to be
Yeah.
organic, authentic, right?
Yeah. That's I agree, because and my producer who put the show together, puts all the shows together now, especially virtual.
Right.
It's really I kind of took a little break, and I think I took a month break, right?
Good for you.
So that was about
Right.
four shows, and then came back, and we came back strong. So like I said, it's all about the team. I think at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
you can't take it too serious. Again, folks still want to see, and they ask you, hey, well, Rich, what's going on? You're still doing this? Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just fascinated by unexpected success. I like that. That's
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're
that's
working on
definitely
a lot of I'm working on like a lot of new things, and I'm very busy working on new things for next step and working on new things for unexpected, and just trying to figure out ways to pivot. I think pivoting is one of the most key things in being an entrepreneur, is figuring out more additional revenue streams and figuring out ways that you can evolve and keep on moving, right? As
right.
opposed to just having one service offering, kind of increasing the service offerings in all our businesses, and you know
Right. That makes sense.
Pivot, Rich. We got to
Yeah,
pivot.
you ain't lying. One of the key things, Joy, that I like to ask my guests, you know, what does living a rich life mean to you? Now,
Wow. What
I'll
does
give you a few
living a
minutes
rich,
to think about that, right? What
right?
does living a rich life mean to you? And I've took a poll and I've asked younger folks, I've asked older folks, and the responses were dramatically different with the younger folks versus the middle age and the older ones. And
Right.
again,
I mean, just being surrounded by love. To be honest with you,
okay,
like there's nothing that brings me more joy than hanging out with my family and my
more
I know
joy.
joy. Than hanging out with my friends, hanging out with my family, playing cards, laughing as much as possible. Being surrounded by like laughter and joy and like that to me is worth like all the riches in the world, right?
Right,
All the
right.
riches in the world. You saw how I tied that.
Yeah, I see you. You're pretty good yourself. You're pretty good
Right.
yourself. Let me find out. So okay, yeah, and again, it depends. It depends. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience that's watching now, that's listening, that will listen to this later, that couldn't make it here today? Anything additional you want to
Yeah,
share
I
with
mean,
folks?
I would just want to part by saying always bet on yourself, believe in
Mm,
yourself. Um, those little hunches you get, sometimes it could just be, the divine speaking to you as opposed to just being a hunch. And I think that if you really believe in yourself and you bet on yourself, so many amazing things are in your future. So
yeah.
just bet on yourself. Those are my parting words.
Nice, nice. Bet on your. Well, guess what? I take that bet on you any and every day of the week.
My
Okay.
man. Thank you, Rich.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for
I, I
having me.
I look forward to when this, when you get out of quarantine, because
Yes.
Maryland is opening up slowly but
I'm so
surely.
jealous. By the way, I'm so jealous that you guys are open.
Yeah, yeah, slowly but surely. I mean, I think a pandemic couldn't stop us, but slowly
Right.
but surely, things are moving along, and we're
Great.
opening up slowly, and it's going pretty well. So again,
Well,
I
I'm
want to.
looking forward to actually seeing you on the other side of COVID. It
Yeah,
will be some knee slapping and some laughing and some all those things. And when we're finally able to hang
absolutely,
out again, right?
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
looking forward to it.
So yes, and we need to make sure you get a living a rich life mug. I don't know if you can see
Yes.
it has all the
Oh, I love
elements on
it.
there,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I love it. I
So
love
we'll
it.
we'll be
I
sure
love
to
it.
get you one. We'll have my team reach out to your team, and we'll make it one big team.
I'm, I love it. I love it. I can't
All
wait. I
right,
can't wait to get my mug. All right, Mitch,
all
you've
right.
been amazing.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much
So,
for having me.
absolutely. So there you have it, Joy Pratcher, One of One Productions, one of her many entrepreneur ventures. So be sure to check her out. Be sure to follow her on IG, and you're gonna have a good experience. I can tell you that. Just her energy alone demands for you to reach out and connect and do some business with this beautiful Black woman. So
I
until next
appreciate it,
time,
Rich.
I'll talk to
Sir,
you soon, Joy.
talk to you soon. Keep winning. Keep winning. Keep winning.
Absolutely. You do the same.
Okay. Okay.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Nice, nice. So we had Joy on, and we're gonna keep it going, y'all. We're gonna keep it going. Our next guest, she's pretty phenomenal as well. And she's recently been appointed to a new position, and her energy is right. She always has a wonderful smile when you see her. So we're gonna give her a few minutes, and we're gonna have her join. And she's an influencer. Ooh, excuse me. I got to get used to the being at home, and I love it. I love it though. But again, my next guest is amazing, and we're gonna get her on shortly. Um, so without further ado, we let me introduce my next guest. Phenomenal woman. She has been recently named the president of downtown Baltimore, founder of Girbo or Greibo Entertainment. I tear some names up, Shelonda. She is an influencer, a media maverick, an engineer, a game changer, philanthropist, and more importantly, she's a beautiful, blessed Black woman, Miss
Thank you.
Shelonda Stokes. How are you doing?
Thank you. Woo-hoo. Rich, I appreciate that intro and thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. First and foremost, I need you to tell the folks where you're from and get us started with tell us where you're from.
So East Side, you know what I mean? So I have to do that. No, but from Baltimore, born and raised in Baltimore. I probably have gone to so many schools in Baltimore. Went to 5 different elementary schools here, like many transient family. My mom worked different jobs. Grew up extremely poor though, Rich, and I don't know that a lot of people know the full sort of story around that, but my father and his brothers were struggled with drugs. My father ended up dying from a heroin overdose, and so coming up was real.
Right.
In that. And so that part was tough. But if you're from Baltimore, none of the lower schools matter. College doesn't matter. What matters here is high school. That's all that matters.
This is what I hear as a native New Yorker. That's kind of what I hear.
Right. That's what matters. And so I went to the best high school, you know what I'm saying? So I won't let you say anything in the event that you didn't fully read the resume.
Oh,
but
we do our homework here, living a rich life. So we know exactly where you went, and you can share, I can share. It's okay.
I'll share it because I represent the blue and orange. I went to Poly.
Okay.
And ended up loving that, following an engineering path early on. Went to Morgan State University, graduated in electrical engineering, stayed with blue and orange. Woo-woo, right.
Yeah.
Stayed with the blue and orange. And it was interesting because coming from my background, just in my family, on my mom's side, being the first to have, gone to college and graduated from college, coming out of school with an engineering degree provided options. So when I came out, I had probably 7 job offers. So, you couldn't tell me a thing, right? All my family, like we all riding together.
No doubt.
At that point in time. And so, I mean, it's been an experience. And the great thing about it is my family has been riding along, the whole way. For my mother, it's like there is no is not in our vocabulary.
Yes.
She's like, you can, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do. And so even though, we were poor, I didn't realize we were poor until, you look back on it.
Yeah.
I even watched her not eat at times, right? And I'm like, Ma, you have to be hungry. No, but now you look back on it and you see just the sacrifices that parents make for their children. But
absolutely.
It is what it is.
And I appreciate, again, folks here, living a rich life is about, and because it's not just about finances, but it's about sharing your story so that inspires others to say, hey, I can do this too, right?
Absolutely.
Because I can do this too, because you've come a long way, myself as well,
Absolutely. You doing
it. Girl, hush your mouth. But it's real. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And we're going to continue to get into, because folks want to know. Folks got questions, right?
All right.
So, first and foremost, coming from Baltimore, you talked about some of your major challenges. But what I really want to know at this point in time, how did you get to this position of president of downtown Baltimore? So it's downtown partnership of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, and that was a journey. That was a journey. But I'm going to tell you, Rich, what I believe is that all of my life's experiences culminated into me having this job at this point in time, right? I think that where we are as a city, with us having, the COVID-19 pandemic, the racial injustice pandemic on top of that pandemic, and just all of the things that are happening, I think that the leadership that's needed in an organization like this that solves all of the needs of downtown requires exactly what I had. And so to get to your question around how did I get here? I studied engineering. And so people are like, you were an engineer. How are you, in that piece? I studied engineering. And when I left college, I talked about having those 7 job offers. Hewlett Packard at that time was hiring. And what they were looking for is they were looking for engineers, they said, with pizzazz. And the thought was that if you were an engineer, and that's really just about problem solving. People always talk about, no matter what it is, it's about, having givens in terms of formulas, laying in all of the, variables and coming out with some solution that's going to work for all. And you can apply that to any area. And their thought was, if I took engineers who had that capacity that, we could train and develop in certain ways, they had a little something that we could nurture. The thought is they could help us move our products better. And at that point in time, companies were really into developing people, right? And so I had to take articulation classes. And my daughter's like, what? You had, and so there were words, Baltimore, we have words, right? And so there were words like orange instead of orange that I said, and people instead of people. It's certain words that were nuances that HP as a brand said, if you're going to represent the brand, then you have to represent the brand. But it was articulation, it was negotiations, it was all of these things that I think helped prepare me more, right, for that piece. So I worked for Hewlett Packard for a number of years, ended up, unfortunately, getting into a place at that company where I felt like I had, what they call like the golden handcuffs, in the sense that, race for us has been a player. At that point, I'm at HP, I'm 20-somethings. My client at that point is the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And so I'm selling to older people who didn't look like me, who, all of that, but I was still making my quota. And I remember this one sort of transitional moment when I'm the only person on my team at that time making quota. I'm happy. And I get a call from my manager who tells me he's at the airport with some of my other team members. They were going to this, training or something. He figured I wouldn't want to go. I could stay back and man the phones. And literally, this is, I'm an engineer. Wow. I am, and so all of that for me was just, you said, wow, that's how I'm sitting here. I'm on the phone like, you can't be serious. And at that point, I've been at HP for 5 years. I'm company car, had, all of these things.
Right. All these,
But it ended up getting, at that point in time, headhunters were calling. And I ended up at that moment, sort of transitioned and went and worked somewhere else that brought me back here to Baltimore. Because with HP, I was in Cupertino, I was in Montgomery County, just different places. Right. And so it brought me back here. And I love here. Like home is home. And so I worked with the company Micom Mid-Atlantic for a while. And then that company was bought out, and my business partner and my husband at that time were starting Graybo. And we cracked up because they said they were operating it almost like it was a fraternity, right? They would start working at 2 p.m. and go, and all of these kinds of things. And so at that point, I was like, maybe I could lend some of the corporate expertise.
Right.
And so we literally got our first client. And when we won that one, the client was like, how much? And we all looking at each other, how much? What do you mean? Like, you actually asked us that. And we stepped out. They asked me, what would it take for me to stay at Graybo, not go back into corporate America, and us to really work on building that thing? And we gave the client that number. And part of my HP training was when somebody asks you a number, you have to give them a number that makes you want to just bust out laughing inside. And we said that number, and they say yes. And so we, Graybo was on at that point, and we're almost 20 years later. Right. And so throughout that time, I think the growth happened from getting on boards, right? Service, expanding the circles, because that's what a lot of it is about. Right. Going in. So I'm meeting different people. I'm serving on boards. I went through a program called The Leadership, which was transformational. It's one of those programs where you have 50 or 60 people from around the region that are leaders. So in my class, it's the president of M&T Bank, who's still there. It's, BGE, it's all of those leadership team members. And you go through a year-long intensive program, riding around with the police, staying in shelters, doing all of these things so that you develop empathy, right, around leadership and experience to really see certain things.
Hands-on.
hands-on. But also in that class was the person who at that point was running Downtown Partnership, who was Kirby Fowler.
Okay.
Came out, I ended up then getting on the board, loved the organization for a number of years. Just last fall, I became the chair of the Downtown Partnership Board. And then COVID happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the middle of Kirby. Now he's gone over to lead at the Baltimore Zoo. And so we were hiring for this position. And COVID happened. We didn't have anybody selected at that point in time. So I stepped in to serve as interim in that point in time. And then after 25, 6, 7 hours of interviewing, because they had a very intensive process, I ended up coming out, and now I'm the president. And so, well versed. So long story to talk about. That's how I got here.
I'll drink to that.
Okay.
Nothing in here but water. But we got to make sure we get you a living a rich life.
I need that. I will absolutely.
You.
I value it. I will sit it right here in my office somewhere.
Excellent. That's great. So I mean, I love again that story. Hopefully, those that are watching are inspired by it, because again, every interview I have, and I reach out because again, I've seen you out and about, minus the COVID.
Right.
But it's always a good time because your energy is always good. So I do want to say congratulations on this new position, and downtown Baltimore is in good hands.
I'm excited. We have some tough times ahead as a city. I mean, as a country, we have some tough times ahead. But what I'm inspired by is everybody coming together to do their part. I mean, just think about how we look with the protests that were happening, right? And part of what we recognize, you talk about downtown Baltimore, people are going to come downtown because that's where you have a voice and it offers a platform, and you want to make sure that can happen in here. But you have residents, you have businesses, you have protesters, everybody coming together. And you know, we survived. The police showed restraint. You know, the protesters, civility in there, the business owners, support. And so that combination of everything that happened is the winning formula we need to move forward.
Yeah, what I like to say is win-win. That's what I like to say.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask you a sort of a fun question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be, and how would you use it as president of downtown Baltimore?
Well, that's a good one. If I had a superpower, I would like to see into the future. And I would use it so that I could stop bad things from happening.
Okay.
And so that I could allow good things to happen and prepare for us to be even better.
Nice. Okay. That sounds like an honest answer, you know, and sincere. Because I got.
Are you offering superpowers? Because you have something. Are you gonna say, look under your chair? No.
I tell you what what I have right here. No, but I again, you know, I think for those that's watching and listening now, or going to be watching and listening later, it's sincere. You know what I mean? And again, I like for this thing to be organic, and I can hear. You can always hear in someone's tone when they respond. That's again, just being a little older and wiser in my life, you can tell when something is just a genuine versus some made up, you know.
Right. No, I mean it from the heart. I'm gonna tell you, Rich, at this time in my life, and I feel like you, I mean, I've lived, it's so crazy for me to say I'm almost 50 years old, which is just amazing to me.
Well, you know, just, black don't crack that. I got you in 30. I got you in 30s.
Yeah, right. But the thing that it's so amazing to me at this point in my life, I feel like all of those pieces are coming together. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm at a place that it's that to whom much is given, much is required. I feel like I'm at the place that I'm supposed to open doors, that I'm supposed to have a voice, and I'm supposed to do all of those things. Because I've been, you talk about a rich life, I've been blessed in many ways, and it's not about the money. It's health, it's family, it's experience, it's all of those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I recently made a post myself that said I'm happy with my life. I am happy with my life at this point more than I have ever been. Yeah. And again, it's not about money, but it's about being because I could tell you the whole story of how I got to this place, but I'll share that for another time.
Okay.
But it's really, again, we all have a story, and kind of just moving along. It's just like, wow, this is good. Yeah. And I see you doing things, because I'm always watching.
I know you are. You're everywhere. I see you. And you've had some amazing guests. I mean, people are responding. And so I'm just honored to be included in the number.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Tell us how folks can follow you, can follow Downtown Partnership of Baltimore. Can you share that information?
Yeah, absolutely. And so for me personally, I tried to keep it simple. And so everything is Shelonda Stokes, all social handles. Yep, it makes it easy. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Shelonda Stokes. For Downtown Partnership, it's a little bit more complicated, but most of the handles you can find from our website, which is godowntownbaltimore.com. And then, there are different handles for each of the social media channels.
Gotcha.
That are on there.
Okay. So folks that's watching and listening, be sure to tune in. We're gonna ask the question because I had a couple of folks DM me that they wanted to ask some questions.
I only want easy questions. Only easy.
Well, these are easy. I think. I don't know. I'm not the president, but what's in store? Is there anything that you could share in terms of what's in store with Downtown Partnership of Baltimore? I guess what's some projects that are coming?
No. I thank you for that. I think a couple things. So our biggest challenge right now at Downtown Partnership and any entity is we're responsible for, the area, the businesses, the residents that are down here. Is trying to figure out how we keep downtown vibrant right now, right? So people have been home. Most people, if they're doing these Zoom calls, so they're wearing pajamas at the bottom, haven't put on real pants in a minute, have not gotten in their cars to drive anywhere. And so, my job is to give you and people a reason to come downtown, right? And so one of the ways that we know that happens is with giving people experiences and events and amenities. And, of course, there's the safety factor, not only safety from crime, but safety from COVID. With all of that. And so some of the things that we're talking about doing is creating those types of experiences. We know that, with Juneteenth and the resurgence of, everything that's surrounding Black and supporting Black, we want to make sure that we are highlighting those businesses and creating events and experiences for people to engage with our minority businesses, our Black businesses in that right. And so you'll see the series that we're announcing around that. Okay. We have created a number of programs to help our restaurant community, Curbside Baltimore, where we purchased from a lot of the restaurants gift cards, pre-purchased so that we could help the restaurants with an infusion of cash. And then on the flip side, when people buy them, we'll add $10 to each of those gift cards to provide a little extra incentive to make the purchases to kind of keep things flowing. Right. And then some other things that we want to create there's this thing that, we're trying to follow. How do we create some photo-oppable things that make you want to come outside and come downtown and experience them? There are these things called laneways in it's only saw it in Vancouver right now, but where you take, alleys and alleyways and convert them into works of art, similar to think about Graffiti Alley, but totally programmed, curated from an art perspective to where you can engage. Some of the laneways they have in Vancouver even have like a basketball court or stuff, but just think about the transformation and how we can bring our city into a place where there's this liveliness. Think of places that you saw, like if you've gone to Slutty Vegan in Atlanta and you see how the line goes around the corner and stuff like that. The thought is, how do we bring places like that here? Or we have some places like here that already exist. How do we make sure we're bringing enough visibility to it? And so stay tuned. You will want to be downtown. You will want to live here, work here, visit here, all of those things.
Exactly. So yeah, you heard it first from the newly appointed president, Shelonda Stokes. Okay, and you talk about art. So I just really went right quick. So I got this.
Who did that?
Her name is Faith, and she is an amazing artist, right? So
I love it.
You talk about things going well.
I love it. That is beautiful. I need one of those.
And I'll make it happen. But I wanted to share that. You mentioned art. She's very talented. and all we need is a picture, and we'll make sure she gets you going. And I think that'll look good.
I
in your
love
office,
that.
too.
I'm gonna tell you, and this is, I mean, one of the things that we've been doing, even with artists, and another thing. So please connect us with Faith and some others, because we're trying to, even with like the plywood that's down here on the buildings, we started painting that so that we could bring some life into downtown.
Mhm.
You know, the next phase of it, we want to engage real artists, right? So
Right.
that it's, you know, it's real artwork with that.
Right.
But it's a number of projects with artists. We've even started for some of the awards that we give, instead of giving traditional awards, giving out artwork, because it's helping, you know, our artist community, but it's also those things that just have a lasting impression on your
Right.
heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Another question, which I thought was kind of crazy.
Okay.
Now we just had an election, and we have a new mayor now.
Yeah.
Someone asked, do you have any political aspirations?
Nah. What I'm excited about with our political election, just think about it. We have, during the time that we had this whole social injustice happening around the injustice to a Black man, we have a Black mayor, a black male mayor, a Black male city council president, and a Black male comptroller. So just think about what the statement that does overall. And so I'm interested in supporting them through helping our city grow. That's the extent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Baltimore, Baltimore, I've come to realize there's a lot of foodies out there.
Oh my God, yes.
Are you a foodie?
Not a foodie. I enjoy it, but I'm also trying to balance. I told you my age, so I got to balance it with trying to maintain. You know, so I can't be the type of foodie I'd like to be.
Right. Well, no, I know. Trust me, I understand. I'm allergic to seafood, which, you know, yes, I can't eat shellfish. So,
oh my God,
they be like, "What? You live in Baltimore?"
You might as well. You might as well end this interview right now.
Oh, so wrong. Oh, that's just so wrong. Question for you. So now that you're back and forth in the office, or you're staying home more?
I'm in the office primarily. I have a team that's out, and so I want to be here for my team. Part of us are at home, and then the other part is out. It has to be the ones that clean downtown.
Okay. All right. Now I gotta. This is somewhat of a tough question here. Okay. Not really. Given the racial climate we're in today,
okay,
we are sadly still finding the need to have the discussion of equality in 2020.
Yeah.
In your career, have you or someone close to you had an experience with discrimination or inequality, and how would we do better collectively from your perspective?
So, absolutely, I have. Absolutely, I know people who have experienced it as well. And the sad part about where we are, and I think that's what this moment that we're in right now has shown, is a lot of us are living in it and have experienced and don't even recognize it because it's natural to us. Right. We've just, it's the way it is. It's been accepted. What I'm excited about with this time and how people are engaging and responding, every call that I'm on and have been on probably for the past week, you have people of all colors, shapes, sizes, ages, trying to figure out how they engage in the cause, and not just, put up a fist. I want to go and take a picture, or where it says Black Lives Matter, but really tangible solutions around, okay, how do I change my practices? How do I integrate better hiring? What do we do about offering free education? How do we remove taxes? Like it's thoughtful conversations, because you think of all of the years and impact of what has happened to us as a people. It's very hard to even say, how do you rectify that, right? And it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna take everybody, and it's going to take every type of step or idea and intentional thought that people can think about doing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, the other day I watched Boys in the Hood. And bear with me, right? The fact that Boys in the Hood, which was some 25 years ago, there was literally a scene, and it talked about, was police brutality and folks abusing their badge. That's 25 years ago. Okay. Now you think about again even further, before you and I were born, some of the things that happened, right? So buildings burning, Black men still dying. So this really is not nothing new. It's
No.
nothing new. It's it's terrible. But I think I would like to see some actionable items. Again, just the whole protesting, that's good. But I would like to see some actionable items, and I see some things, but there's still, unfortunately, a lot more to do.
I do think, Rich, I agree with you. I think that this time is going to be different than some of the others. If you think about how this response has been across in the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And people responding in ways, it's not just, slide them some money over here and turn the page. People are losing their jobs at record numbers for continuing the same behavior. People are opening up, purses unlike they ever have before, and people are really trying to figure it out. And so I think this will be one of those pivotal moments in history where you will see change. I think and you think about it, my children are literally of the movement. They're like, we are going to an HBCU, hands down, no doubt about it. It's just the shift in some of the things. Morgan State University, you see, has a D1 football athlete coming there now. Those things weren't happening, and it's just that whole shift and tide that's turning.
Yeah, that is true. Now, are you a reader?
Well,
are you a reader? Do you like to read?
I couldn't hear the.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, you don't try to give me no Teddy Riley moment, don't. But I recently became a reader as a result of just having different authors on the show. And one, we got some phenomenal. Actually, all of my authors have been women.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and they've had some amazing books. Heidi, Gigi Renee. The list goes on and on.
I love it. I love reading. I read different. It is some things are going to be technical. Some things are sort of that life-changing. Some focus on business. A lot of the things that I tend to focus on revolve around entrepreneurship. I think that's just somewhat how I think. In terms of it, I just spoke to some kids about one of the last things that I read, which I had read before but had to reread, which was this book. I'm sure you read it a while ago, but it's called The E-Myth Revisited. It's by this author, Michael Gerber. And the essence of that book is around, you work in these jobs, and it's really about understanding if you want to be in business. But if you want to be in business, it's being in the business. And so they give an example of a pie maker, right, who loves making pies. And so she says, well, I'm going to go into the pie making business. But she really doesn't want the business of it. She just wants to make pie, which is very different, right?
Right.
And so it takes you through a number of steps to help you figure out what you need to be. And it also helps you while you are on the journey, like I talked about getting to this journey, it's pulling out those nuggets from each experience that you could then apply to those areas that you really need for the growth of where you want to be.
Oh, nice. How do you balance everything now, right? So you're the president of Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, and you still run now. Pronounce your entertainment company.
So gray, it's like the color gray, Bo.
Graybo.
Graybo.
If you haven't heard, so Sanjay. I tear up names, okay?
Okay, I love Sanjay. That's so funny.
Right, I tear up names, and she's not the only one. I tear up some names, but it's all in love.
No, and and I see where you're going with it, because balance is like, what is that, right?
Right.
It's family. It's all of the things that come into play. For me right now, sleep is overrated. You know what I mean? Like I am probably I don't know how many hours I sleep, but I wake up every day like clockwork at 5 a.m. And if I sit still for too long, I will fall asleep. So it's, it's kind of going at that pace. But in terms of the balance piece of it, I have an amazing team that really helps do that. I have an amazing family. The support system is what allows me to do what I need to do. And I started, even from my days of Hewlett Packard, it's two things that I do. One is, and these are some of those nuggets I think around people. One of them is I pick a time period, and within that time period, I have to get 100 no's, right? So that means I could say I need 100 no's in a month, or 100 no's in a week or 2 weeks. but that means I'm asking more, right? For
Okay.
things, no matter what it is. When I was selling, I needed to ask enough to get the sales. If it's with my team, it helps me with delegation. All of these things, it just really helps expand the ability to, increase what I'm able to do. So that's one thing that I do, 100 no's. And the other thing that's been very helpful is I know that I can only do 5 major things in a day. And so I have to keep those things at the forefront. And I try to focus on those things until, and not add to that list until I get those 5 things done. It really helps with the, with the balance piece. And the other thing is things have to be timed and programmed. And so, I have to be intentional about making time for the things that are important.
Right. I think you said something very profound to me there. The 5 major things, because I'm a list writer also,
Mhm.
given my busy schedule, and which I think about it now, I got to call my brother back.
Right. But if you don't write it down, it's not happening.
Yeah. So,
It is
but
not
my list is too long. And
You can't, right. And you won't get through. It's too many things. It's
Yeah.
way too many things. And so I've had to prioritize. And one of the things that's been helpful is allowing people to know that. Before I would say, all right, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. And then the credibility of my response is shot because I didn't follow up. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so, those 5 things, these are the things that I will not go to sleep until they're done.
You're done. Okay. Well, you again, living a rich life is about inspiring others. Hopefully, someone was inspired. I know I am, because I'm gonna shorten my list.
Shorten the list.
Shorten the list. I got that. I'm gonna shorten the list. Tell us something really cool or funny that we don't know about you. Tell us something really cool or funny.
Cool or funny? Man, I don't know. I feel like I'm like an open book. I feel like everybody knows. So things that I like, I wonder that people may not know. I don't know if you know, not cool, not funny like that. But did you know I play golf? I'm a golfer.
Oh, I did not know that.
So I love golf. I had to learn to play when I worked for Hewlett Packard. They made us, as a part of the sales team, do that. I used to be good, but now with working hard, not so good. So I think that's one of the things people may not know.
Well, yeah, I didn't know. I don't play golf for several reasons. It's one, it's an expensive hobby.
It is an
and I just started having money, so I'm not there. And then it just doesn't seem too exciting unless you get like
you haven't done it right then.
Yeah,
you have not. I'm telling you, it's business people that I know who recently started, and literally they are so hooked. It's just one of those things you have to have time for. Money is a part too, but it's one of those games that you have. Consistency is key, so you have to be out there.
Nice. Yeah, I just don't see that happening with me. I just don't. So, how about Baltimore City? So Maryland's opening up slowly.
Yep.
Folks, because again, I got to say, downtown Baltimore has been a ghost town during this process, right?
Yeah.
As things are starting to open up slowly but surely, I think things are opening up. I've seen in Fells Point. I think some more places are opening up this weekend.
Hopefully.
What's right?
We'll see.
What
has to make the announcement.
Right, exactly. What is the time frame after things launch? Do you have a vision as to what that looks like?
It's actually going to be, I think, a pretty slow process. We're working with not only the restaurants, but even the museums and attractions. And there are some who, if the mayor says this weekend go, are ready to go, but there are more who, are delayed. I think people want to make sure that they get it right and they do it safe along the way, that they have the right protocols, that they're able to get their team members back. In some instances, people are making more now getting unemployment than they were in those jobs, depending on where they were. And so, you got to encourage all of that and get get people to come out and do that. I think that's one part of what happens. The other part is just the revitalization of the economy overall, right? And so for so long, people have been, kind of living off of savings or doing some things so that all of that disposable income that normally helps churn, the economy, people have to build that back up. And so we have that. Plus, the medical community is talking about there may be a resurgence of this, when flu season comes back and some other things. And so, it sort of ebbs and flows of where we are. I would imagine there'll be some, uptick within the next couple months, but, this is going to be, years or so with us really getting back.
Gotcha. So you mentioned the flu. I'm going to take it a different way.
Uh-oh.
Football.
Yeah.
You're a Ravens fan.
I am. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm from Baltimore, so you have to be a Ravens fan.
Okay.
But I stand with Cap, right? And so I have, I'm one of those ones who stopped watching when Cap was out. I had to go with Cap, roll with Cap. Although I heard today that he's getting looks. Is it the Chargers? The San Diego Chargers? That he's going to do something. So.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the fact that, which is a beautiful thing because, that the whole concept of what he was saying, you see this, right? I mean, It's almost like having that superpower of looking into the future. It
is.
Right?
It is.
Who would have thought? And at the same time, again, because my team, they do research on stuff for weeks to come. And we discovered that there was a woman, an officer that stopped the police officer in 2006 because he had a man in a chokehold.
Wow.
And that man is alive. However, the woman lost her job.
Was she fired? I remember that. Right.
She was fired. And so now they're looking back at that because I mean, at the end of the day, we are all people, right? We are all.
Richard froze. Can you hear me? So it froze on your end. So I think that means I can talk about whatever I'd like to talk about. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, you can. Go for it.
Okay. You see him frozen as well?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. Hopefully he gets himself back.
So now I can pose him some questions. No, I can talk about. So let me say, Shelonda. So tell me, you're from Baltimore. What is your favorite food? Well, I'm glad you asked. No, some of that stuff, but it's funny because one of the things that I know people often ask, when you're from Baltimore, he's totally gone.
Yeah, he's probably coming back in now.
that people end up asking is about my favorite food, and I thought that's where he was going with the foodie question about favorite food. And from Baltimore, you have to love crabs, right?
Yes.
That is like a given. And it's funny because I remember even when my children were like 2 years old, we would give them some, you start picking the meat for them when they're young. But once you get over 2, like you're on your own, you need to learn how to pick your own crabs. And so that is absolutely like one of my favorite things. And I can eat it any kind of way. I like crab pretzel, just crab cake, you do it any kind of way. And so
Please stop, my mouth is watering.
In there. So I don't know, is he gonna come back? Or should I just continue on with my interview?
And my mic just fell off, so you probably can't even hear me. Okay, here I am. My mic fell off.
Okay.
Everything's going wrong over here. I think he's coming.
That's what technology does.
Being web-based, that's how it happens.
Right. They understand it. It's happening.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that. I'm Monty. You don't know me, but I'm Monty, the owner of the station. How are you?
Good. I didn't see a picture of you.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the background, just listening.
I hear you. So I don't know. I saw it started flickering for a while. I don't know if you could see his light going back and forth for a while.
Where are you, Rich?
So do you want me to just keep saying stuff or should we wait?
You can keep going. You got some more to say?
So I'm going to just pose some other questions of me. So tell me if I know. I know it was funny. I just spoke with some students and it was so interesting when you talk about here. And I know Rich said we wanted to do some things where you end up getting lessons. And one of the things that happened in my lifetime that is one of those things that you wish you could take back, but you're also glad that you didn't, because it imparted just sort of different kinds of lessons with it, was when I was at Morgan, I used to hate, before I went to Morgan, I used to hate history. I just thought that was, I couldn't remember all of the facts, and it was all of this stuff. And I got to Morgan, and there was this professor, his name was Dr. Hudson, and he was the best history teacher in the whole wide world. And he brought history to life for me. And I was so good at it that he allowed me to keep the grade book for the rest of the class. And I would go in and, every day he would, we would take tests, and, I'd get 100 or something. And because I just loved this class, and put everybody grade in it. And then we got to the end of the year, and it was time for us to do our finals. And he, and when we took tests, then you would have a clean book that you wrote the test answers in. So you brought that book to class. And we got in there for the final, and I remember somebody telling me, "Oh, did you know that such and such was going to be on the test that I hadn't studied for?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that was going to be on the test." And she's like, "Girl, just write it in your book. He never checked the books, because he never checked the booklets." I'm like, what harm would that do? And I wrote it. I had a pencil, and I wrote it really light with the pencil, just a couple notes that would help me understand what was happening. And I wrote it. And this was the very day that Dr. Hudson came into class, and he's like, so now I'm going to check the textbooks. And before the test starts, he starts looking in to see if anybody has written in the book. Lo and behold, he comes over to my book, and the stuff was so faint in the book that he couldn't directly see it. But he took glasses from this other girl, put them on, and he looks at my book, and he looks at me, and he looks at my book, and he looks at me. And it was about 6 other people in the class, and he said, "All of y'all disappointing, get out."
Wow.
And literally at that moment, like, my heart sank, because at Morgan, cheating is grounds for expulsion. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I really didn't cheat. It was a couple words. It was, all of these things that would allow me to do this. I'm just going on with the interview. Don't worry about it. I'm in the middle of the story. I'm almost done. And so he ends up, and so, I cheated at that point in time. And so he's like, "Get out of my class." But remember, I had the grade book for everybody's grades. And so I go out, I'm crying. I go to my room, and I'm like, I'm going to show him. And not only won't he have my grade, but nobody is going to get a grade at that point. And that's how I'm feeling, because I'm so angry. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt, but it's my fault. I did it. And so, after I get myself together, after a couple days, I go back to his classroom, and I go to slide the book under his door, because, I'm embarrassed, right? And he opens the door as I'm sliding it under, and I look at him, and he said, "Do you have something that you want to say?" And I said, "I'm sorry." And he said, "What do you think I should do?" And I said, "I think that you should give me a C." And he like bust out laughing, and he's like, "You cheated. Like, why would I give you a C?" And I said, "Dr. Hudson," I said, "I honestly earned an A. I really earned an A. All of this is the first time, I promise you, I wrote these 6 words. It was light. I wasn't thinking right. And I try to plead my case." And he said, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the library, and I want you to read this poem called 'The Debt' by Paul Laurence Dunbar. And I want you to write a paper on that and come back and bring that to me. And then we'll talk about what your grade is." And I read it, and I would encourage the listeners to read that poem, "The Debt" by Paul Laurence Dunbar. It's very short, but the essence of that poem is about how one decision that you make, one moment in time, can impact the rest of your life. And it talks about, that decision may not cost a lot, but the interest on that decision can impact a lifetime. So just think, at that one moment, had I been expelled from Morgan, what the rest of my life would have been like, because I decided to write 6 words in the book. And so literally that was one of those sort of transformational moments in time.
Thank
now
you.
that you're back, right?
You are awesome. That's what I'm talking about. So the debt, like debt, DEBT?
DEBT by
Okay.
Paul Laurence Dunbar. I promise you, it will change your life. And each time you go through something, it's sort of evaluate, because we all make mistakes. I've continued to make mistakes, so I'm not going to say that I didn't.
Right.
But you really weigh all of that, because the decisions you make can have such a lasting, one small moment in time you know what I mean, impacts the rest of your life, good or bad.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I have to say I appreciate you going, because some folks, they're not able to just roll with things. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I do want to thank you for joining.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
a
having
long
me.
it's been a long time, and we've been trying to connect, and I'm trying to get you on the show. So I appreciate you taking the time. A few things we're gonna make sure. I will
Please.
make sure you get your mug, and I will definitely get you in contact with I have your team get in contact with the necessary person, because a nice photo would definitely be in order. I just want to
Definitely.
thank you.
That's what I needed to have my post. You know what? Can you at least I should probably take a screenshot of what I have right now, so that I could put some stuff up and say I was in the number. Let me get my pose on.
Nice,
Okay.
nice. So I appreciate you, Shelonda. I see nothing but continued greatness.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm
I,
excited.
I hope folks that were listening and watching, matter of fact, I know folks that were listening and watching have been inspired. If nothing else, you continue to inspire me. I look forward to seeing you outside of this quarantine situation.
Absolutely. We're
And
gonna give you a reason to come downtown.
I know
We
that's
will
right.
absolutely do that. I thank you. And I don't believe anything is by accident. I know that we were planning to connect for a number of times. I think this was that moment, and
Right.
there'll be plenty of moments. So I want to make sure that we stay connected, just with information sharing and access. I know every event, I always see you there, from the monument lighting to,
Yes, yes,
everything else. So
yes. So,
looking forward to it.
absolutely. So until then, again, like I said, I'll stay connected. I got your teams, your contact information, all that good stuff. I don't know if I'll make sure you have my updated number. I don't know if
Okay.
you have my updated number. So I'll make sure I'll share that with your team. Just to put
Sounds
in your
good.
Rolodex. All right. So
Yeah.
until then, any last words you want to share with the folks watching and listening?
I want to thank you first, for having me. I really appreciate it. I love the platform that you've created to uplift and share information. I think it's our responsibility to do that for each other and continue to share the moments, for people who may be seeing and watching. For me, it's this song, that I love, that's Mary Mary God and Me, that happens in the song. Talks about, what you see outside is not always the reality of what's happening. Like everybody else, I've cried myself to sleep and been behind on my knees praying and all of those other things, but don't give up.
Right.
Right. I mean, because what is for you is for you. I believe that. I believe it with everything that's in me. I'm willing to do what I can to help others. I don't believe in closing the door and getting there. If my foot is in the door, I'm going to hold it open so as many people as possible can run through. And if we all do that for everybody, it's going to be a better place.
I agree. Well said. And we'll close on that note. I want to thank my first guest, Joy Pratcher, for joining. I want to thank Shelonda Stokes, the new president of Downtown Baltimore, Downtown Partnership of Baltimore.
We'll get, I'm going to send you a mug too. You don't have anything.
I know that's right. Once again, this is Living a Rich Life, and our goal is to inspire and let folks know to live the rich life, based on those 6 principles: good health, strong relationships, financial freedom, goals achievement, extraordinary experiences, and philanthropy, being sure to give back, as Shelonda just mentioned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next week, take care of each other. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Good job.